Bizarre Brain Comics. Oh, hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host. This is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art, etc., etc. And this time, I want to take a look at this. This is Star Reach number 2 from 1975. And this has a cover by Neil Adams. With the main story is written by Mike Friedrich with art by Digiordano. It also has some Jim Starlin and Lee Mars art in here as well. Okay, for those who don't know, Star Reach is an American science fiction and fantasy comics anthology originally published by Mike Friedrich himself from 1974 to 1979 for a total of 18 issues. Then another publisher, I think it was it Pacific? I can't remember. Picked up and reprinted some of that material, which I've shown in another context here. Okay, it was the first American mainstream independent comic book. It sort of bridged the gap between the underground comics and the traditional Marvel and DC type overground books. It was it featured more mature content for an adult audience, and it was a forerunner to the indie publications of the 80s and 90s. And one could also say it was a forerunner to Heavy Metal magazine. Because it's has language, has some sex in it, and a good deal of nudity, and usually not too graphic. It just hints. Good stuff that would be very, very naughty. So just stuff that they could do to get around the comics code. I have a few other issues as well, but I don't have anything like all of them. I don't think I've ever seen all of them. Because, like I said, this is Neil Adams cover. It says Stephanie Starr, and that's this character here. But that's all he does in this particular issue. Some of the others, like the first issue, had Cody Starbuck by Howard Chaykin. Let's see what was on the back. Introducing Nikki and Logan in Earth Probe. Okay, this is nice. I don't know if you can see this face right there. And I'll just briefly go through it. It starts off, but it had some really nice artwork by Digiordano. And, well, yeah, here we can see the Star Reach creativity unchained in the light of future days. And this is supposed to be an introduction. I don't know if this character was ever used again, but this was supposed to be an introduction to this character. And it's an interesting, good use of page layout to portray the passage of time as she's running down this hill and stuff. Just like one might have seen in something from Will Eisner, right? And of course, she's topless. She's topless in the entire thing. And running, falling, and then we start. She's thinking, oh, people who are chasing her, they're cadets. We find out that she's a cadet herself, and she knocks out a couple arms herself, some of her pursuers, and etc. And turns out this one guy, the officer she went, oh, it's her father. Her father was general. Then her backstory is being told in flashbacks. How she was the daughter of his general who wanted a boy, but got a girl, and he trained her up to be military, and she's in whatever academy. This is sometime unspecified time in the future, some kind of space force. And she's in the academy to become an officer, which is commanded by her father. And she makes some friends. They have back and forth between it, where then an accident happened, and her father falls from the cliff and dies. and said while he was accusing her of murder, and while she was denying that she had committed the murder, but she gets the gun, and she's getting shot at. Manages to injure one of the people who's after her, someone she knows. Then the other one is another lady. Her roommate, and they get into fighting. We see more of their backstory together as she and her roommate were, of course, living together. The roommate was madly in love with this fellow, but ultimately he was trying to break up with her. And then while the ex-boyfriend is talking to Stephanie Starr, saying, she smothers me. I can't, and deal with it. She comes in. She thinks that they're making whoopee, and accuses them. Stephanie leaves while they argue. She goes to see her own boyfriend, which is against the rules in his room. They have their little wing ding, and then she wakes up and he is gone. She wakes up here in Russell, finds out that the ex-boyfriend of her friend is dead, shot with her gun, an antique pistol. Now she was on the run. Ultimately, they have a little bit of sexy time there, and ultimately, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Some really, really nice artwork, and I think it's a well-crafted story. I just don't know if it's going to go anywhere. And then ultimately, we find out that her boyfriend is the one that killed the ex-boyfriend and framed her for it, which resulted in the death of her roommate, her father, and of course the ex-boyfriend. But he's injured. She kicks him right in the groin, man. Good, and walks off, leaving him there. We don't know what goes next. What happens after that? That's the end of this chapter. Then we go to a Jim Starlin story. See, of course, as I said this before, this is all black and white. Keeps the cost down. It's just a little short one. Some kind of mystical meditation stuff and this guy finally achieves the power of flight. And he's going, I'll teach everybody others, and we'll control and bring peace to the world, and yada yada yada. And he flies right into a helicopter, boom, and falls to his death. Then there's this little thing by Steve Skeets about some fishes. Then we go to the Key Club, which is by John Workman, who is known as a good girl artist. But what I have always seen mostly done by him was lettering. But this is Key Club, and it's about basically sex bots. But sex bots used for what am I trying to say? For therapy. And about this guy who fell in love with his sex bot, and his sex bot has taken a shine to him too, and they're trying to get away, and then they wind up having to blackmail the boss of the place because he's making time with his sex bot, and then the guy who's guarding him, he wants his sex bot, that he's taking a shine to, so everyone's having their sex bots, and that's the end of it. And that's the end, and then it ends in when our first fellow got away with his sex bot, and then they're having an interesting life together, and then she says something about, yes, I have a strange craving for pickles and ice cream. So, for a sex bot? Then a little thing, another by Jim Starlin, no dialogue, some kind of alien critter. It seems to be have come up from underground into part of the city, wanders around, sees the terrible stuff going on in the city, and then he goes back there. Now we get to Earth Probe, and I'm not going to talk too much about that either because this is way too complex. By Lee Mars, and it's some unspecified time. This is in 22nd century. This is all a world of dreamers, and this is really blends a lot of wooey mysticism and ancient astronaut lore, etc. And that's it has. I can't even explain it, but that's what I'll just kind of show you. It has interdimensional doorways to another ancient civilization, and somewhere out in space, and we'll have spirit beings, and I can't even describe it. I read it, but I can't describe it because it really doesn't make any sense. But that's it. But it's an interesting book, and all of Star Reach. I mean, they were groundbreaking for the time, for what they did. Adult science fiction with mainstream creators and an alternative market. Okay. That's all I had to share with you this time. I want to thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe. Leave your comments down below. And let me know what you think of this issue of Star Reach, or any Star Reach. Have you read some of the issues of Star Reach? Let me know what you thought of them. Because this is a title that had Frank Bruner with... the Duccaneer. Yeah, that's what it was. The Duccaneer. I talked about that before. So, all kinds of other stuff. So let me know in the comments below. And remember, comics are art.